10 years ago, Oklahoma City was excited to see the opening of the Chesapeake Boathouse down on the Oklahoma River. 10 years later, my goodness, the growth that we see down there. Dave Morris here in the Oklahoman's video studio. I'm joined by Mike Knopp, Executive Director of the Boathouse Foundation, the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation.
That's correct, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. It's been quite a 10 years, I tell you. We had this idea for this shed on the side of the Oklahoma River. We thought a metal building just to get activity started, back in around 2001, 2002, and that evolved into the Chesapeake Boathouse, and really the rest is history.
But when you look up and down the river right now, at night, as we're seeing footage behind us of some upcoming animation, as well as some footage that, was just shot 3 years ago, but it's already changed a lot since then. When you look up and down the river, what's lit up at night, or how fantastic it looks during the day with numerous boathouses, is this all part of the master plan? Or has that plan kind of grown? And
I'd like to tell you I had it all worked out from the beginning, but it has evolved. I mean, I will say this, though. We did certainly believe that we had a truly world-class opportunity here. Thus, the reason why we tried to push to build the Chesapeake Boathouse. And let's be honest, it's not your traditional boathouse. I mean, it's something that when we did this, people were looking like, boy, this is a little odd for a boathouse. It's very futuristic, very modern, very different than what you see in other parts of the country. But we felt like we believed enough in what the opportunity the Oklahoma River really was going to provide for Oklahoma City to go out on a limb and do something that's kind of cutting edge and really world-class in design. And I think from that standpoint, knowing we had this asset that really could be powerful, we didn't necessarily know it would take us in all the directions it's taken us in 10 years or how quickly it has, but we did believe we had something very special.
You talk about the design and the cutting edge, the design of the Chesapeake Boathouse, the Devon Boathouse, the Finish Line Tower. That's a design that really holds up, doesn't it?
Well, I think so. I mean, Rand Elliott's done a remarkable job in helping, we spent a lot of time together kind of capturing what we felt like was the essence of the sport and what we were doing. There's a lot of symbolism to a lot of what is down there, but it does hold up. I mean, it's one of those things I think will be timeless, and it's iconic for Oklahoma City. There's no question when you see a shot of the Devon Boathouse or the Chesapeake Boathouse or even in the Whitewater venue in the River Sport Rapids, where that shot was taken. It is Oklahoma City, and that was important, that we're putting an international face in Oklahoma City with our river, with this design, and not only the design, but what those designs and what those buildings have done to help us activate the river and get events and programming and Olympic training and all different types of things that have really become to put us on the international map for water sports.
Talking with Mike Knopp, Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Boathouse Foundation. He mentioned the rapids, he mentioned the road to Rio. We'll get to that looking forward in just a second. But over the past 10 years, how did we get here? What were some of the biggest challenges that you had to overcome?
Well, there were a lot of them, and I will say beginning this process, one of the biggest challenges was the fact that when we were talking about the river at that time, back in the late 90s, early 2000, people had grown up with this river being a ditch, and it was hard to envision, all of this. It was hard for people to understand, we want to build a boathouse on this ditch, and what could it be? And so there was a lot of skepticism, and kind of getting beyond that and getting people to believe in this opportunity. But having grown up with this was a little challenging. But thankfully in Oklahoma City, as we all know, we have a lot of visionary folks, and we had people that believe and going out on a limb and doing, it's that pioneering spirit. And I think that really took hold. And along the way, I mean, we've had a lot of interesting experiences in understanding the dynamics of our river, when it comes to, we've had, I don't know how many 500-year flood events in the last few years.
This never happens.
So there has been some of that we've come to grips with, and frankly, the river does what it was designed to do, and it gets the water out of town efficiently, sometimes very efficiently and very fast, and so docks and things like that kind of go with it. But so that there's been some of those things that we've worked through. A lot of gray hair has come from those nights before the Olympic trials or before some of these really world-class events that we've hosted when we have those Oklahoma storms that pop up. So there have been those challenges, but we've persevered, and even when things seem very challenging, late at night, 2 in the morning, dealing with this, when you see people come to be given a ticket to the Olympic Games because they did it on our river, that makes it's very powerful, and it makes it all worthwhile. And we've had a lot of moments of affirmation too, that it was one thing for us to think we had a great opportunity with our river, but even at the earliest stages, we had an international event in 2007. It was kind of our first big step out there at an international level. And we had Australia come and their national team, and some folks that came thinking this is kind of interesting. We asked them to come, and they came, and they left thinking this is one of the finest venues and experiences they have had as a program. So just a lot of those things happened that kind of gave us that. It was kind of the fuel for us pushing forward and thinking bigger with the master plan. And truly, I've been saying we're setting out to create one of the world's premier urban aquatic venues. And with the River Sport Rapids, I think we will definitely achieve that.
It is something unique to what you have down there. You've told me before that a lot of these operations are not in an urban situation. They're not downtown.
Yeah.
I believe, though, that's one of the challenges you also faced is how do you get downtown down to the river? Just the logistics.
Yes.
How do you get the foot traffic down there? And then parking. Once you become so popular, what are you going to do with parking? Right. Those are two of the challenges you've addressed.
Those are some challenges, certainly, and part of it is, again, this river was a place that people stayed away from for so many years. And so, in fact, I talked about this with a group from Nebraska today that, they're talking about, a lot of folks are looking to our river and saying, how can we emulate that in Omaha or other places around the country? Because for us, it's all about activation. It's about not just building things on the river. It's about how do we get people on the river or on the trails. And so to do that, it's creating reasons to get people down there, whether it be with downtown, with our connector to Bricktown now, educating people. It's a very easy walk. It's a very easy ride, getting on your bike or on a boat, just to come down to the Boathouse District, making it easier to access via signage and all the different, the future boulevard is going to be a great asset to the Boathouse District. But the fact that it is so close to so many people, we want to take advantage of that and get our schools and getting all the schools around the surrounding area involved in the river. Kind of like I've said before, if you have a mountain in your backyard, you're probably going to learn to ski, or you're going to take advantage of it. So we have a world-class asset with the river, with Olympic training at the highest level, down to 5-year-olds going out and and getting engaged in an activity. So it's important that we bring the entire community and make the community feel like there is a place and an opportunity that they can get involved in at the river. And on our corporate side, we've worked on getting our companies downtown, our businesses, to feel connected via our corporate rowing program. We have over 50 corporate rowing teams, and that, I think, is another one of those milestone moments when we created that program. We knew we had no culture for this sport.
Yeah, that's true.
And getting it to where it was something that people talked about, maybe a little trash talking, and at lunch, about rowing, it kind of infused that into the culture of Oklahoma City, probably quicker than it would have been otherwise. And then that led to a growth in our youth programs, both rowing and kayaking, and just, I think when you get more people on the water, you get more people on the trail. It just becomes a magnet for activity.
Looking ahead to 2016, one of the cool events, or perhaps one of the deadlines you're facing, with the Rapids.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. What's the latest status of the Rapids?
Well, it's going to be, first of all, it's going to be a game changer for Oklahoma City to have this in our backyard. There's no other city in America that can claim to have what we're going to have. And we think it will be a tourist destination for people, not only from the region, but around the country. It is, they're doing very well in terms of the progress. The scale is huge. We anticipate it being complete in early April, with the idea that it's fully ready to go for our Olympic trials that will occur on May 7th and 8th. But one of the things we want to emphasize that even during Olympic trials, it's going to be open for people, families, to come and go rafting. So we'll have the slalom channel with these Olympic hopefuls racing in and trying to make the Rio team, but we'll also have it open to the public to start using. And we're going to have the Road to Rio experience, which is quite a way to open this thing. We're one of 6 cities in the entire country that are going to basically have an experience that is basically bringing a taste of the Rio Olympics to Oklahoma City. It's coming from Times Square to Oklahoma City. It's not going to be in any other city around this entire region. They're going to California afterwards, and it's going to be this huge interactive experience that is all about the Olympic movement. And that will be occurring just outside Riversport Rapids. All of these activities will culminate in a big celebration on May 7th, the evening of May 7th in Riversport Rapids, celebrating the opening of the venue itself, celebrating the Olympic movement and how we're so connected to it here in Oklahoma City. Kristen Chenoweth is going to be the MC and the lead performer at this event. Something that'll be free to the public and a huge thing that we want everyone to be a part of and come down and enjoy.
Wow, you're not busy at all.
Well, it's we've got something really exciting that is really fueling everyone connected to the river just to get this thing open, because I think people are going to be amazed by what they see. And on a side note, beyond the Riversport Rapids, we will be opening our Riversport Adventure Park in March during spring break, and we'll have the tallest slides in America that will be unveiled at the opening. So like I said, there's something for everyone, and even beyond that, all of our programs and sports and activities, rowing, kayaking, sailing now, for people to get involved in. So,
as we wrap up this interview, I do have one more question for you. We're talking with Mike Knopp, Executive Director of the Oklahoma City Boathouse, and perhaps your continuity has played a large part in the growth that we've seen. We've been able to have consistent leadership here. But what did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, I was an attorney. I practiced. I was assistant DA here in Oklahoma County for 5 years, and then went off to the FAA before becoming a rowing coach. I would probably not be telling you the truth if I said I wanted to be a rowing coach when I was growing up, or in charge of something like this. But I would say that I've always been driven to the outside, to the outdoors, and trying to always envision creating something powerful for the community that would be really help advance in our outdoor culture. And so I think just to be a part of this, having the good fortune to be in a position to be able to help guide the river with a lot of other people, the development has been really, truly something I would have never dreamed of when I was younger, and it's just been a pleasure. So,
he's Mike Knopp, bringing the outdoors to Oklahoma City in a cool way. Congratulations on everything from the past 10 years, and of course there was a lot of legwork leading up to the past 10 years. Best of luck moving forward this year.
Well, thanks so much, Dave. I really appreciate it.